This country can protect Black freedom from racial oppression, despite having consistently bathed in white supremacy, despite having continuously drowned Black dreams. America can transcend its past and become what Black people have prayed centuries for. But how? I answered this and much more in my book, Their Accomplices Wore Robes. I spent 5 years writing it, 2 decades ingesting the history, all while shouldering generations of inherited trauma from America refusing to do right by Black souls. James Baldwin once said, "If we do not falter in our duty now, we may be able to end the racial nightmare." If you wish to halt that horror and pioneer a hospitable nation, you must receive the knowledge in this video essay: a true redemption. Thesis 1. Black muscle built America, American greed built caste. In 1705, the Virginia colony enacted its slave code. This completed the mission of turning Black people into a subordinated caste. A caste is just a fixed social group a person is born into, and the Black caste exists within a racial caste system. A racial hierarchy enforced through law, rules, and norms that confines the Black population into an inferior legal, political, and social status. From womb to grave. America's enslaved population ballooned throughout the 1700s. About 25,000 in 1700, 500,000 in 1776, the year colonists declared their independence. The centrality of slavery to the American experiment birthed a grand paradox. Black slavery produced the wealth and opportunity that enabled white freedom. You don't get an America with individual rights and economic success without man owning man. The Civil War, however, ended this original sin. The founding of a nation premised on freedom and soil poisoned by the blood of slavery. 3 constitutional amendments followed the South's defeat. The 13th Amendment, ratified in 1865, which guarantees freedom. The 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, which guarantees equality. The 15th Amendment, ratified in 1870, which prohibits race distinction in voting rights. 3 revolutionary amendments. They should have prevented a post-slavery racial caste system, but one formed nonetheless, and still it continues. The racial caste system survives, in part, because those of us who want to destroy it have narrated a misconceived story of race in America. You can't remedy racial oppression without knowing how we have misdiagnosed our disease. While you're here, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel. Thesis 2. Misdiagnosis will forever doom us. We typically speak through the language of discrimination when describing the country's racial dilemma. Society has taught you to do this reflexively. For instance, driving while Black. A police officer pulls over the Black, but not white driver for some petty or invented infraction. In America, we consider this, treating people differently based on race, as the disease. This is the common framework, the anti-discrimination framework. Yet, it misdiagnoses what ails this country. We suffer from a racial caste system disease. We must treat the racial caste system, flush it out of our country, then heal all of the sickness it has caused. Focusing on race discrimination encourages us to ignore what truly plagues us. Caste truly plagues us. The villains we confront are not mere discriminators, but rather caste preservationists, those who seek to sustain the racial caste system. Think Jefferson Davis, President of the Confederacy, or Strom Thurmond, leader of the Dixiecrat Party that formed once the Democrats embraced civil rights, or the current President of the United States, and these men's millions of followers. Creating a nation without the racial caste system requires us to become caste abolitionists, those who aim to destroy the caste system. If you want to defeat caste preservationism, champion caste abolitionism. Before the Civil War, Senator Charles Sumner said that the existence of caste precluded equality. Be like Sumner. Getting America's race story so wrong stymies us from knowing the sort of constitution we must fight for. So let me tell you about your right to a specific kind of freedom that you've likely never heard of before. Thesis 3. The Trinity grants us freedom from caste. Abolishing the racial caste system requires that we radically change how courts interpret the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. Legal minds typically think of them individually. We must, however, consider them collectively. That's why I call the three amendments the Trinity, to join them in our minds. The original Constitution protected the rights of slave owners and permitted the slavery racial caste system, permitted the degradation of black people, a race that was altogether unfit to associate with the white race, either in social or political relations, as Chief Justice Taney wrote in his infamous 1857 Dred Scott opinion. But the Trinity radically changed America. Before, a racial caste system could exist with the blessing of the Constitution. Not true afterwards. Now, caste systems defy the Constitution. Because of the Trinity, no caste system should endure. The Trinity grants each American the individual right to freedom from caste. Let me repeat that. Freedom from caste. That's what you should want for yourselves, your fellow countryfolk. That's what you deserve. That's your right. And here's a major point. It protects all identities. This just isn't about blackness. This freedom protects any group from existing as a subordinated caste. To safeguard this freedom, the Trinity should protect us from what I call caste work. These are laws, policies, and actions that maintain the racial caste system. Jim Crow segregation is a historical example of caste work. Segregation fit into a larger scheme for race domination. Segregation was more than mere discrimination. It was caste work. It violated the Constitution because it helped maintain the caste system. As for present-day examples of caste work, consider these. The over-policing of black communities, the over-punishing of black school children, the underserving of black neighborhoods, the current White House reversing measures that would have protected black communities from environmental hazards, schemes to disenfranchise black voters, schemes to dilute black votes. These aren't simply examples of discrimination. They sustain the caste system. They are caste work. Anti-discrimination language suffers from a fundamental flaw. It's hackable. Caste preservationists can easily appropriate it to save the caste system. For example, caste preservationists attack diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. They note that such measures take account of race and thus discriminate against white people. Because these programs are race conscious, they do inherently discriminate. Outlawing programs that heal long-standing racial oppression, though, feels wrong to many. Does it feel wrong to you? Courts should consider such programs constitutional because they are not caste work. They do not reduce white people to a lower caste. Instead, they remedy centuries of wounds created by a still operational caste system. These programs don't deny equal protection to white people, they give equal protection to black folk. But this isn't the Constitution we have had since the Trinity. The Constitution, as interpreted, has bolstered the racial caste system, the exact opposite of what should be happening. This is our reality because caste preservationists have allied with certain powerful co-conspirators. Thesis 4. The justices have conspired with the oppressors. The Supreme Court of the United States could have protected black freedom from caste, could have helped prevent a new racial caste system from forming. Instead, the justices acted as caste preservationists' most indispensable ally, helping confine black folk to the bottom of a racial caste system. Although countless hands have molded black misery, please appreciate that the Supreme Court justices deserve the most blame. Their hands have worked the clay the hardest. The justices are the final arbiters of the Constitution's meaning, and they have helped caste preservationists create a white over black world. They chose this result, chose white supremacy, chose to assist the haunting of black life. They could have chosen to walk the righteous path. They chose instead to walk alongside caste preservationists who immediately tried to nullify the Trinity. In the 1860s and 70s, Congress passed laws to stop this. But the Supreme Court invalidated or weakened those laws in various cases. Then, starting in the 1880s, caste preservationists passed laws to deny black people their rights. In 1890, Mississippi, for instance, drafted a new constitution to disenfranchise black people. And the Supreme Court, in 3 separate cases, refused to declare Mississippi's schemes unconstitutional. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, the Supreme Court effectively nullified the Trinity, effectively erased it from the Constitution. The justices watched over not black freedom, but the racial caste system. In 1954, in Brown v. Board of Education, the Supreme Court kneecapped Jim Crow, a central pillar of the caste system. Caste preservationists quickly regrouped. The post-slavery racial caste system created massive white racial advantages. Disproportionate wealth, resources, opportunity, political power, and much more. In Brown's aftermath, caste preservationists pursued the new goal of protecting those white racial advantages. And the Supreme Court, once again, aided their efforts. The court stole the Trinity away from the cause of freedom, and black folk continue to suffer dearly for that theft. We caste abolitionists can, however, reclaim our looted property, the Constitution, and redeem it. Here's how. Thesis 5. Caste abolitionists can redeem the Constitution. We live in a constitutional republic. The degradation of black life occurred because the nation's most powerful judges helped preserve caste. And they killed black people's expectations that they could rely on the Constitution to serve them. The avenue that ends with black salvation, then, necessarily cuts through the Constitution and the Supreme Court. Those eager to end caste systems that degrade black people, brown people, LGBTQ folks can secure the country we crave under the Constitution we have. We must work together, though, must join forces against evil to rescue us all. Freedom sits within our grasp. We must understand what we want to work towards, then complete the incredibly demanding work of building a majority coalition that gets the power. We shall appoint justices with our power that will interpret the Trinity like justices should have always interpreted it. Difficult this is, but we can do it. We can win. Please don't consider the current lowly state of the Constitution as if this was inevitable. Caste preservationists, in fact, toiled for this result, and still do to maintain it. We must overwhelm such villainy with virtue to compel America to atone for its sins. Let's allow the Constitution to become the emancipatory document it wanted to be once we the people ratify the Trinity. Enlist with like-minded soldiers. Together, we can help forge a political movement that reconstructs the judiciary to defend our right to freedom from caste. That freedom must beat the heart of the movement. We caste abolitionists can one day claim victory as true redeemers that cleansed our democracy of the taint of caste preservationism. The Supreme Court took the Constitution, a weapon for liberation, and made it a shackle. We can redeem our founding document, but only if we war for it with a clear-eyed focus on both the goal and the nature of our foes. If this battle plan for freedom speaks to you, enroll, join the conversation, like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment. Build the resistance as an army of caste abolitionists. Click above for the story of how I thought through writing Their Accomplices Wore Robes, and check the pinned comment or the description for a link to buy the book. Stay brave.